I'm a live-in son-in-law. Before we got married, I signed a contract stating that any children we have would take my wife's surname, and I have no real standing in the household. The only difference between me and the servants is that I also have to sleep with my wife. When faced with my wife's endless stream of suitors, I just smile and ignore it. When her younger brother and sister slap me, I turn the other cheek and tell them good things come in pairs. When my in-laws insult me, I show them what it means to grin and bear it. This is the self-cultivation of a live-in son-in-law, but only if I get paid. But then I realized that somehow, without even noticing, this live-in son-in-law could crush this wealthy family underfoot. I got home and saw Sophia Sinclair and Victor struggling with each other in the entryway. Sophia Sinclair is my wife, known as the Princess of Sutherland City. She's got beauty and power, and even though she's married, her suitors are still countless. Victor and Sophia grew up together. Their families have known each other for generations. He's been in love with her since they were kids, but she never loved him back. But I've noticed that since she married me, Sophia and Victor have been getting a little too close. Right then, Sophia's long hair was messy. The strap of her nightgown had slipped off her shoulder, and her face was flushed red. My mind filled in the blanks. It looked like they'd just been kissing, and the sound of my door opening interrupted them. If I'd known, I would have come back later. Sophia looked flustered and wouldn't even meet my eye. Victor, however, glared at me, gritting his teeth. "You picked a bad time to come back." I held out my hand, smiling. "Pay up and I'll leave right now." "Same old deal. $1,400 per minute." "Yeah, that's the rule I set. This isn't the first time I've walked in at the wrong moment." Victor demanded I leave. Sophia didn't object, so I demanded compensation. $1,400 a minute. Thing is, Victor never actually pays for the full time. He usually just throws $300,000 to $500,000 at me and gets out of there. I almost feel sorry for Sophia. My minimum time is half an hour while Victor only lasts 3 to 5 minutes. Victor's mouth twitched. He scoffed and stormed off. I was a little disappointed I didn't make any money this time. At the door, Victor suddenly turned back. "Name your price. How much would it take for you to divorce her?" My face lit up, but then fell immediately. When we got married, I signed a $280,000 contract. Basically sold myself. If I break it, I owe $1 billion in damages. "Are you offering to pay that penalty for me?" Victor froze, his gaze falling on Sophia. Sophia sighed, nodded, but said nothing. Victor left. This isn't some CEO romance novel. Not just anyone can pull $1 billion out of thin air. I closed the door properly and turned to Sophia, plastering a smile on my face. "My dear wife, will you be needing my company in bed tonight? If not, I'll sleep in the study." Sophia stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked away. She really is beautiful, almost 30, but still with the innocent face of a young girl, yet combined with the charm and voluptuousness of a young wife. I changed my shoes and was about to head to the study on the first floor when I saw Sophia stopped at the foot of the stairs. "What's wrong?" I asked with a smile. Sophia hesitated for a moment, then explained. "He was trying to force himself on me. I was fighting him off. It wasn't what you think." I froze. This was the first time she'd ever explained anything to me. But does she really need to explain herself to me? "Curious," I said. "Before we got married, you made it clear I wasn't supposed to interfere in your private life. So, you don't owe me any explanation." Sophia paused, then gave a bitter laugh that turned into a cold sneer. "Forget the study. You're sleeping with me tonight." Since the boss had made a request, I had to oblige. So, I followed her back to the bedroom. She walked over to the closet, opened it, and gestured to the array of sexy lingerie inside. "Which one do you like?" I smiled. "Any of them are fine with me." "Then, let's get on with it." Sophia Sinclair pointed to the bed, telling me to lie down. I shook my head. "Look, I can stay the night, but I'm not sleeping with you unless you shower first." Sophia Sinclair froze, then pointed to the bedroom door. "Get out." Feeling a bit frustrated, I said. "We've talked about this. I don't meddle in your private life, but taking a shower is just basic respect, isn't it?" Sophia Sinclair clenched her fists. "Get out." I walked to the door, then turned back with a cheeky grin. "Actually, skipping a shower is fine, too, but it'll cost you extra." Bang. I saw a phone flying towards me and quickly slammed the door shut. Women, terrifying. Back in the study, I opened my laptop and started a video conference. "Lou, head to the Summit Club tomorrow. I finalized the deal for their expansion project." "Oh, right. W Tech Park's fire safety systems failed inspection. They need upgrades immediately. I've already arranged the building material supply. You go negotiate the details. And Lee, I landed a major import-export contract for Victor. Potential profit is in the tens of millions over maybe a dozen runs. You handle the coordination. After finishing that video conference, I moved to another room and start another meeting. Before I knew it, it was past 1 in the morning by the time I wrapped up several important meetings. Truth is, most of the projects I was managing now had come from Sophia Sinclair's suitors, especially Victor. I'd lied to him. Told him I'd never touched Sophia Sinclair. He said as long as I kept my hands off her, he'd give me business. Let me make big money. But the reality was Sophia Sinclair and I were both young. She had this innocent beauty mixed with allure. And I was tall and handsome, living under the same roof. Well, let's just say while it wasn't fireworks every single night, things definitely got heated 4 or 5 days a week. The next morning, I woke up and went to make breakfast. Even though we had a chef, Sophia Sinclair insisted I make it for her myself every day. Just like always, I made her beef noodle soup. There's a party at Sinclair Manor tonight. Are you free? Sophia Sinclair asked between bites of noodles. I didn't hesitate, nodding immediately. Even if I weren't, I'd make time. Why? Because the Sinclair family party is where all the connections are. Only an idiot would miss it. As for the hassle from my father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law, whatever. People call me the king cuckold of Sutherland City behind my back. Have I ever complained? Sophia Sinclair put down her chopsticks, her fine brows furrowing. Do you want to go to help me fend off suitors or for yourself? I said righteously. Suitors just prove how charming my dear wife is. Why would I want to fend them off? Sophia Sinclair stood up and walked away, her face cold. I'd lost my appetite. Seeing the leftover noodles, I thought it was a shame to waste them, so I sat down and finished the bowl. That evening, Sophia Sinclair and I headed to the Sinclair family's ancestral home. Outside, the large parking lot was already packed with luxury cars. I went around and opened the car door for Sophia Sinclair. After she got out, she took my arm. As we walked towards the house, she murmured, "Tonight will be different. I hope you can help me when I need it." I nodded without hesitation. "Don't worry, I'll definitely stay out of the way." Sophia Sinclair shot me a glare but didn't say anything. What's she unhappy about now? Isn't this exactly what she wants? Just as we walked through the main entrance of Sinclair Manor, we saw her brother-in-law, Oliver Sinclair, heading towards us. He shot me a dirty look, then snapped at Sophia Sinclair. "Get your hands off this loser." Sophia Sinclair didn't pull her hand away or stop, just kept pulling me forward. But Oliver Sinclair grabbed me, saying through gritted teeth, "Tonight is important for the Sinclair family. Don't screw it up." I smiled and nodded, not the least bit upset. As far as I was concerned, the Sinclairs were my employers, and I was just the hired help. Naturally, I had to do what they said. We walked into the banquet hall. Elegant classical music filled the air and distinguished guests were already chatting amongst themselves. And as usual, Sophia Sinclair's and my arrival drew many sideways glances. Let's just say in Sutherland City, I'm a walking punchline. Wherever I go, someone always treats me like a joke. Always throws a couple of jabs my way. Calling it teasing is generous. It's really just verbal humiliation. Look, Sutherland City's cuckold king is here again. Ethan, I heard Victor went to your place yesterday. How much money did you make this time? The money he was talking about was, of course, the $1,400 per minute. I chuckled. Victor wasn't feeling up to it. Didn't make anything. And I felt a sharp pain in my arm. Sophia Sinclair had pinched me. Her voice whispered in my ear. "You're being so magnanimous, but the more you act like this, the more I look like a fool to everyone. Don't you want to spend time with Victor?" I retorted. Sophia Sinclair lowered her head, saying nothing. Why bother putting up a front? If that's what you are, own it. Why the pretense? After enduring a few more taunts, Sophia Sinclair and I retreated to a corner. She sat on the sofa lost in thought while I stood nearby waiting for her suitors to approach, of course. Officially my job was to fend off these suitors, but really I used it as a chance to chat them up, angle for favors, and build connections. Well, Mr. Richard, I said as I saw a balding middle-aged man approach, quickly extending my hand in greeting. His name was Richard, Sutherland City's jewelry tycoon. We had collaborated many times. I smuggled jewelry back into the country, and he helped me sell it. He was one of Sophia Sinclair's older suitors, and definitely the most fervent. Every time he saw her, he'd immediately drop to his knees and declare his love. I was already bracing myself for him to kneel, and even Sophia Sinclair looked resigned, ready to endure the usual spectacle. Many onlookers nearby turned to watch the show, but who would have guessed? Richard grabbed my hand instead. "Mr. Ethan, I tried to reach you privately so many times. I finally caught you. You did me a huge favor last time, and I just wanted to thank you personally." I was stunned for a moment before remembering what he was talking about. "Mr. Richard," I said quickly, "we're old friends. We help each other out. No need for such formalities." But Richard shook his head. "My family was caught in riots overseas. I contacted the embassy, everyone, but nothing worked. One phone call from you saved them. I must thank you in person." Then he pulled a stack of documents from his briefcase. "Mr. Ethan, this represents 15% equity in my jewelry store chain. Just sign here and it's yours." Gasps went through the crowd. They were already shocked that I could resolve international incidents. And Richard's jewelry business was a national chain. 15% equity represented an unimaginable fortune. Even Sophia Sinclair looked at me with a questioning, utterly astonished expression. Just then, my brother-in-law, Oliver Sinclair, walked over. His face was cold as he said, "Ethan, if Mr. Richard is giving it to you, take it. But don't forget what's yours belongs to the Sinclair family." His words stunned the crowd for a moment. Then they all started laughing. I bet he just used the Sinclair family's connections. Richard probably still thinks he actually has some pull. What kind of pull does a guy who married into the family have? Still putting on an act, claiming they're old friends. Disgusting. Those accustomed to humiliating me never missed an opportunity. Victor also walked over, gave me a cold look, and said, "Ethan, you need to show some gratitude. Everything you have is because of Sophia Sinclair. You're not thinking of keeping it all for yourself, are you?" My father-in-law came over, too. He nodded to Richard first, then said to me, "Ethan, you married into the Sinclair family. Even though you're the man, you still married in. Everything you have should belong to the Sinclair family. Understand?" My mother-in-law nodded in agreement. "That's right. You didn't bring a dowry when you married in. Anyway, just consider this your contribution." I took a long look at them and suddenly felt like laughing. I could see their greed plain as day. This group calling themselves high society, willing to throw away all pretense for Richard's shares. It just proved how valuable those shares must be. I smiled at them and said, "You can treat me like dirt, but you can't take my money." The money was the reason I agreed to marry into the family in the first place. If I just gave it to you, wouldn't that defeat the whole purpose? But don't forget, without Sophia Sinclair, you wouldn't even know Richard. Victor snapped. I nodded. "You're right. But when Sophia Sinclair and I got married, I made it clear to her. She needed a husband like me to avoid a marriage she didn't want. And I needed her money and connections. Those connections were part of the deal. What I'm owed, right?" My reasoning was sound and they were almost speechless. Victor was silent for a moment before saying, "Your import-export business. I set that up for you. I introduced you to those contacts over there. You use my connections to help Richard. I don't want the shares. Just give them to Sophia Sinclair." I shook my head. "Give me a break, Victor. You introduced me to some local small-time crooks. Those weren't the connections that helped Richard." Victor sneered. "I know who you're talking about. The boss of Kingston Security, right? Well, guess what? I invited him tonight, too. We're very close. He only helped rescue Richard's family as a favor to me." I asked, surprised he's coming tonight. Victor scoffed, scared now. I shook my head. "Not scared. It's just, well, about Kingston Security. I'm actually the silent owner. Why didn't he let me know he was back?" At that, the room erupted in laughter. "There's a limit to your lies. You know, that's Kingston Security we're talking about. They call them the toughest mercenary company in Africa. If you want to do import-export over there, you need their protection. There are plenty of us in Sutherland City in the import-export business. Half the people in this room depend on Kingston to make a living. If you're really the man behind Kingston, I'll eat my damn shoe." Oliver Sinclair roared with laughter. My father-in-law snapped. "Shut up, Ethan. Stop embarrassing yourself." My mother-in-law added, "Just get out of here. Don't ever come back to Sinclair Manor. You disgrace." Just then, my sister-in-law, Lily Sinclair, walked over. She glared at me when she saw me, but didn't say anything. I really want to know why Lily Sinclair was so hostile towards me. I mean, I'd saved her. Without me, she would have been violated. But then Sophia Sinclair suddenly spoke up, her voice calm yet firm. I believe what my husband says. Everyone, including me, stared at her in disbelief. Victor suddenly ground his teeth. Sophia Sinclair, calling him your husband, right in front of me. Are you trying to slap me in the face? Does the Sinclair family not want to weather this storm? Was the Sinclair family in trouble? I looked at Sophia Sinclair, but her expression was serene. She just smiled at me. Just then, a group of people walked in. Leading them was a tall, powerfully built man with a resolute face, exuding masculinity, pure testosterone. It was none other than Kingston from Kingston Security. It's Mr. Kingston. Victor immediately hurried over, practically jogging, and the others quickly followed suit. My father-in-law and mother-in-law especially scrambled, moving faster than seniors fighting over discounted eggs at the supermarket. Kingston, I thought you would have called ahead. I would have come out to meet you, Victor said, bowing and scraping. Kingston merely glanced at him dismissively before settling onto the sofa, clearly not intending to speak. Mr. Sinclair quickly stepped forward, smiling. Kingston, whether our Sinclair family can survive this crisis really depends on you. Oliver Sinclair sidled up beside him, also bowing. That's right, Kingston. If you just stop protecting that new import-export company, the Sinclairs will have room to breathe again, and naturally, there'll be something in it for you. Mrs. Sinclair pulled Lily Sinclair over. Kingston looked, this is my younger daughter. If you need her, she's available. Lily looked utterly lifeless, like she could drop dead any second, offering no resistance. Kingston said nothing. Just offer a cold smirk. Thinking he wasn't satisfied, Mrs. Sinclair then pulled Sophia Sinclair forward. Kingston, then how about my older daughter? She's married, yes, but you know, very experienced. Kingston's expression changed instantly, his face turning pale. He didn't even dare to look at Sophia. Sophia didn't react angrily either. She just looked at me as if waiting for me to save her. I shook my head and sighed inwardly. These rich families are so damn dirty, offering their daughters like party favors. Victor seized the opportunity. Kingston, although I have strong feelings for Sophia, if you want her, I'll step aside. Kingston glanced at me secretly, his eyes searching. Victor caught the look and quickly waved me over. Ethan, come here. You're nominally Sophia's husband. At least beg Kingston to take her. I had a laugh internally. Making a husband beg someone else to take his wife. Only Victor could come up with something like that. Still, it didn't really matter to me. I walked over, but before I could say anything, Victor kicked the back of my knee. Caught off guard, I dropped straight to my knees in front of Kingston. Victor pushed my head down. Beg Kingston, kneel and beg. Cow out. Oliver Sinclair came over to help force my head down. And for a second, I almost did cow to them. Then I snapped back to reality, surged to my feet with sudden force, and sent both of them sprawling with a hard slap each. Their bodyguards froze for a moment, then charged. A punch, an elbow strike, a stomp, a few casual moves, and they were sent flying. Everyone else stood there utterly stunned. No one had expected that I, someone usually meek enough for anyone to curse out, had such fighting skills. I looked at them and straightened the cuffs of my suit jacket. Then I put my harmless expression back on. But when Sophia Sinclair looked at me, there was a spark in her eyes. Did she enjoy watching me fight? It took me back. When Sophia Sinclair was studying abroad, I was her bodyguard. Back then, she asked me how good I was. My answer was 6 words, pay up and I'll crush anyone. I was essentially her close protection for 4 years. Before she returned home, she asked me to marry into her family. I agreed because I just wanted to make serious money. I also knew she asked me because she knew I wouldn't let emotions get in the way or interfere with her life. As for any feelings between us, maybe there were some. After all, we've been married a few years, and we certainly got along well in bed. But I honor my agreements. She told me not to interfere in her personal life, so I didn't. But I was starting to think I'd misunderstood her. Just as my mind was wandering, Victor scrambled to his feet and staggered over to Kingston. Mr. Kingston, he pleaded, help me take him out. I'll pay you. Oliver Sinclair rushed over, too. Mr. Kingston, help me get rid of Ethan. I'll pay you, too. And then Sophia Sinclair and Lily Sinclair, they're all yours. Lily Sinclair still looked utterly defeated, as if she'd completely given up on life. Sophia Sinclair, though, was different. She was still looking at me, eyes bright, a small smile playing on her lips. My gut told me she wanted my protection. Right before we came into Sinclair Manor, she'd said something about helping her when she needed it. At the time, I thought she meant for me to keep my distance when she was dealing with Victor. But now it seemed that wasn't it at all. I just shook my head and chuckled, turning to Kingston. You dare touch me? Kingston shot to his feet. His tough expression instantly replaced with an almost fawning grin. What are you saying, sir? How could I possibly dare? Everyone else stared in stunned silence. Victor sputtered, Mr. Kingston, are you mistaken? This guy Ethan, he's just the Sinclair's live-in son-in-law. He's useless. Even if he can fight a bit, he's no match for you. Oliver Sinclair chimed in. Yeah, Mr. Kingston, you're incredible. You don't need to be polite to him. He's just the Sinclair's kept husband, lower than a dog. Hit him however you want. Even if you kill him, it doesn't matter. Oliver's father stepped forward, bowing slightly. Mr. Kingston, my son is right. Ethan is merely the family's live-in son-in-law, an insignificant pest whose life I control with a single word. Please deal with him. Oliver's mother added shrilly, kill him. He dared to hit my son. He has to die. I looked at Kingston and smiled. Go on, kill me. Kingston gave an awkward laugh and waved his hands frantically. Mr. Ethan, if you keep talking like that, I might just have to kill myself right here. Then his expression turned menacing as he glared at Victor and the others. All of you listen up. The real boss behind Kingston Security is Mr. Ethan, Kingston declared, his voice ringing with authority. Everyone panicked in that moment. It's safe to say everyone here had mocked or ridiculed me at some point. Some even seemed to take pleasure in humiliating me, throwing a few insults my way whenever they saw me. Of course, I never cared. I figured the satisfaction they got from insulting me was just emotional value I provided. In return, they sometimes helped with requests I made. It was mutually beneficial. As long as I could make money, dignity didn't matter to me. I was abandoned at birth, picked up by a foreign welfare agency, passed around through several hands, had multiple masters until an old Chinese man adopted me. After the old man passed away with no education, I made a living abroad using my fists. You could say I've lived a life of hardship since childhood. That's why I'm obsessed with money. I smiled at them and said, don't worry. Even though you often insulted me, you also helped me out sometimes, so I don't hold it against you. They looked skeptical, but they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then I turned to Victor. Mr. Victor, I should actually thank you. It was your import-export deal that made me realize that Region desperately needed a security company. That's why I sent Kingston and the boys over there to start one. Victor, who had been scared half to death, let out a breath of relief when he heard this. But then my expression changed. However, like I said before, you can treat me like a dog, but you cannot steal my money. I use my own security company to rescue Mr. Richard and his family. So, Mr. Richard's reward should have been mine. How dare you try to take it? Seeing my expression shift, Victor was so frightened he dropped his knees right in front of me, pleading with a tear-streaked face. Ethan, no, Mr. Ethan, you're so powerful. Why didn't you say so sooner? If I had known, how would I have dared to steal your money? If I known, I definitely wouldn't have dared try to steal your woman. I shook my head and corrected him. I told you Sophia Sinclair and I have a marriage of convenience. I don't care about her private life. So whether you steal her or not doesn't bother me, but you cannot steal my money. Understand? Victor looked incredulous but quickly nodded anyway. Mr. Ethan, I won't say another word. I know you like money. I'll give you money. I nodded satisfied. From now on, the Grant family's import-export business is mine. Agreed. Hearing this, Victor's face paled dramatically. Mr. Ethan, if you take it all, the Grant family will collapse. I wave a dismissive hand. No, it won't. I'll leave you 10% of the profits. Otherwise, I guarantee your shipments will be robbed the moment they reach the port. Fine, I agree. Victor made a swift decision and immediately accepted. Just then, Sophia Sinclair's father and mother, along with Oliver Sinclair, all knelt before me in unison. Sophia Sinclair's father, his eyes filled with tears, said, Ethan, we treated you poorly before. But if you can just help the Sinclair family get through this crisis, we swear we'll treat you like one of our own from now on. I actually preferred them when they were arrogant and unruly. Because when they were like that, I could always find ways to profit from them. But now, with this polite attitude, they expected me to help them. I thought for a moment, then said, that new import-export company you mentioned earlier, it's mine. Are you asking me to sacrifice my own company to save yours? Father-in-law, that's no different than stealing my money. Hearing my words, Sophia Sinclair's father looked like he was about to fall apart. But Sophia Sinclair suddenly spoke up. Honey, there's no need to help them. I'd rather see them go bankrupt. Lily Sinclair sighed dispiritedly. Yeah, brother-in-law, let them go bankrupt. Let them die. What was going on? I glanced at Kingston, signaling him to get everyone out. Then I took the two Sinclair sisters to the study in Sinclair Manor. I had them sit down and then made tea for them, serving them just like I used to while asking, "My dear wife, I'm a bit confused. Can you explain things to me?" Sophia Sinclair gave me a long deep look before finally taking a teacup and sighing. "I hired you as a bodyguard back then because I was being harassed by some thugs and you saved me. Girls that age always fall for heroes and you were good looking, too. So, I started liking you a lot back then. Later, you protected me for 4 years. We spent every day together for 4 years, and my heart had no room for anyone else. Then, after I graduated, my family arranged a marriage for me with Victor. Before I met you, I was heavily brainwashed by my parents and thinking I had to sacrifice myself for the Sinclair family, that I'd agree to marry whomever they chose. But after meeting you, I truly couldn't make room for anyone else in my heart." As Sophia Sinclair spoke, tears streamed down her face. I was stunned. "Wait, then why didn't you say anything?" Sophia Sinclair looked at me indignantly. "I told you many times, but you never took it seriously. You even said getting emotional hurts the wallet. I ran out of options, so I had to find a way to marry you that you'd accept." My brain was about to short-circuit. "Oh, come on. I was here to make money. What's all this talk about feelings?" Sophia Sinclair continued, "Think about it. If I were really that kind of promiscuous, casual woman, would I have been a virgin on our wedding night? If I really just saw you as a live-in husband to counter the arranged marriage, would I have been the one initiating things almost every day? And you, I was the one making the moves, yet you demanded money every single time, even talking about buy one get one half off or whatever." Sophia Sinclair actually swore. I sighed. "Sophia Sinclair, you should know me. I'm a bit slow when it comes to feelings. If you're not direct, I won't get it. My mind is always focused on making money. Besides, you and Victor seemed pretty close." As I said the last part, I felt a pang of jealousy. Sophia Sinclair snorted, "He wished, but I beat him up every time. Why else do you think he always left after just a few minutes?" Suddenly, I felt happy, but still muttered, "You should have beaten him for longer. That's $1,400 per minute, you know. God damn it." Sophia Sinclair almost swore again but ended up giving a helpless smile. "So let me ask you now. I just want to build a life with you. I love you. How are you going to treat me from now on?" I scratched my head. "I'll treat you as important as money." Sophia Sinclair laughed partly in exasperation, but she also looked happy. She knew I loved money most of all. If she was as important as money, what more could she ask for? I asked again. "Your parents and brother might not be great people, but judging by the way you two sisters look, do you really want them dead?" Sophia Sinclair took a deep breath, her expression darkening. To control Lily Sinclair, they fed her a lot of harmful drugs. I grew up abroad in a rough neighborhood, so I knew exactly what she meant. Just because they wanted to force Lily Sinclair into an arranged marriage and she refused, Sophia Sinclair said through gritted teeth. I nodded. "Make up your minds. If you really want them dead, I'll have Kingston take care of it." Lily Sinclair suddenly burst into manic laughter. "If you help me kill them, then I'm yours." Sophia Sinclair slapped her lightly. "Behave yourself." Lily Sinclair covered her head and fell silent. Later, under the pretext of an inspection tour, I arranged for Sophia Sinclair's father, mother, and younger brother to go abroad. Then, they disappeared. Everything belonging to the Sinclair family was inherited by the two Sinclair sisters. I gradually got used to Sophia Sinclair's love for me and started learning how to love her back. However, the burden on my shoulders grew heavier because Sophia Sinclair got pregnant and I had to manage all the businesses. Whenever I thought about my unborn child inheriting my wealth, my heart ached a little, but every morning seeing Sophia Sinclair's sleeping face when I woke up, I felt it was all worth it.